What's up? So today, ladies and gentlemen, I wanted to get a little bit nostalgic and look back to some things that I really miss about the old days of Fortnite. And in this video, we're going to be looking at not just 10, but actually 15 things that you miss from Fortnite Chapter 1. That's right. Get anti-clickbaited. Undersell, over-deliver. Now lastly, before we do get into it, if you guys could please subscribe to the channel and leave a like, that would be amazing. Now, let's do this. All right, so coming in at our number 15 spot, this is going to be mechs. Just kidding. Let's leave that in the past. No, in all seriousness, coming in at our number 15 spot, this is actually going to be the heavy shotgun. There was never a time where the heavy shotgun was the best of the shotguns, but it's always been pretty solid, and it's something that I really miss. As far as pure damage went, the gold pump always outshined it, and the combat beat it on range and speed. But that said, I still think it was a really fun weapon to use. It wasn't necessarily overpowered, but it was generally quite effective, and of all the shotguns, I think this was one of the most unique ones. Now moving on to number 14, this is going to be balloons. Man, balloons, like, wow. When balloons were first introduced to Fortnite, I thought they were kind of silly, but they were actually a very fun item. Using 1 to 2 of these at a time would allow you to get around the map much quicker, and it was really a nice piece of mobility. I feel like it's honestly something that would work really well if it was in Chapter 2 for an extended amount of time. Some people would even just use them to fly super high and just camp with the sniper up in the air. It was a fun thing to use, and I miss it. And moving on to number 13, this is going to be buried treasure. So this was a season 8 item that was really underrated. Well, I mean, really, I guess what this is a treasure map, which you would find, and then that would lead you to buried treasure. But, you know, you'd get multiple legendary weapons. That's really all I need to say. It was sometimes a bit of a trek to find what you were looking for, but honestly, it was almost always worth it because you were guaranteed at least one really good weapon. Now moving on to our number 12 spot, this is going to be the ATK. Now this was actually vaulted at the start of Season 8 and has never returned to Fortnite. Of any of the vehicles that I think would make sense to actually add back into Fortnite, the ATK to me makes the most sense. It's something that speeds up the pace of the game while not absolutely altering things. You're very vulnerable when you're in an ATK, and so because of that, it's not something that you can really use to push aggressively. It's more of an item that you just use to get around the map, and for that reason, I think it's really a good vehicle. While the shopping cart was really fun, this was like an actually good step up from that, and it's something that I really do miss. Now moving on to number 11, this is going to be Boogie Bombs. So the Boogie Bomb was vaulted at the end of Fortnite Chapter 1, and again, it's something I kind of miss. Boogie Bomb sort of went from being like this thing you always overlooked and didn't care about, and then there came a time where people realized, oh, if I play my cards right, this is pretty much always a free kill. I think we did get to see it for a day in the Winterfest event, but what I'm talking about really is like these things being in the game for a long period of time. You know, not just a 24-hour, like week-long stint. Well, that said, while Boogie Bombs were something that seemed a little bit overpowered, I do think they had a good fit in the game. They're such an iconic piece of imagery in Fortnite, and I really wouldn't be surprised if we see these back again in some time. It might be a while, but the Boogie Bomb really is just a classic piece of Fortnite history, and I miss it. All right, so moving on to our number 10 spot, this is going to be the Infantry Rifle. So I'm putting this on the list for both a technical and personal reason. When Fortnite Chapter 1 originally came out, there wasn't a medium to long range rifle in the game. So basically you had shotguns, SMGs, the normal assault rifle or SCAR, and then it went to the burst. Because of Bloom, the FAMAS and AUG don't really work as overly long-range weapons, so the next thing up was just the sniper. And with Chapter 2, we have seen the heavy assault rifle put back into the game. But, and this is a very personal but, I really miss the infantry rifle. On top of that, I feel like it would have made more sense to have that put back into the game. If you look at range, to me, it still kind of feels like you have assault rifle, then the burst, which is a little bit longer, and then the heavy, which is just a little bit longer than that. But there still feels like a big gap in the gameplay between sniper and the heavy assault rifle. And personally, I think the infantry rifle would have covered that middle ground better than the heavy. I guess an alternative would have been like the scoped assault rifle, but to me, I just really miss that epic and legendary variant of the infantry rifle. It was so accurate and it absolutely shredded people. And while the legendary and mythic variants of the heavy assault rifle are pretty good, honestly, I really think that the infantry rifle would have been better, and because of that, I do miss it. Anyways, moving on to number 9, this is gonna be the Chug Splash. You know, the Chug Splash is something that was not really in Fortnite for that long, but I think it really made a name for itself. The Chug Splash was the first consumable healing item that we had seen in seasons. And it was great. The fact that you could use it not only on yourself extremely quickly, but also have all your teammates huddle around and it would heal everyone was huge. It was a very team-orientated thing. You could throw at distances to help keep your teammates' health up. It was just a super effective item. And of all the healing items that we've lost since Chapter 1, I think this is really the one that I missed the most. Like, slurps were great, the Chug Jug was cool despite taking a really long time to consume, but Chug Splashes were just perfect. Now moving on to number 8, this is the glider. This is always something that's a little bit controversial. Some people hate redeploy, some people love it. But what I'm talking about is the item itself, not something where everyone has it, but an item you can pick up that allows you to redeploy. I really like gliders because it allows you to build high, but for a cost. If you're willing to sacrifice one of your 5 precious item slots for this ability, I think it's really fair. Plus, it's another thing that helps with mobility without making the game insanely fast. Like, we've got launch pads back now, and I think that gliders would also work well in the current meta. I know a lot of people don't like gliders, and personally, I really didn't use them a lot, but seeing them gone kind of makes me miss them. Now, moving on to number 7, this is the Rift to Go. So it feels like it's been a long time since this has been in the game. So it was vaulted in the 9.3 content update, which would have been like summertime. So it has probably been over 8 months. And while I'm not exactly sure if adding all of these sort of mobility items would help to the meta, I can't help but miss the Rift to Go. I liked the Rift to Go as a defensive tool. I liked being in a squad, being really pressed, needing to get to the circle and being like, all right, guys, this is our ticket out of here. Let's ride. That was great about it. But the problem with any sort of thing that gives you mobility is that when people can use it for offensive strategies, they will. And obviously anything like this, Rift to Go, glider, launchpad, they all speed up the game and do affect the meta. And adding a lot of these will certainly take away from what Epic is trying to do right now. But that said, I mean, come on. It was just so cool. All right, moving on to number 6. This is going to be the hunting rifle. So we have seen a brief look at the hunting rifle in Chapter 2, but not really enough that I would say I don't miss it still. The hunting rifle really hasn't been in Chapter 2 all that much. And I mean, it was really, you know, a Chapter 1 weapon. There's just something so great about hitting a headshot with a hunting rifle. I like the hunting rifle too because it shot so fast that you really had the opportunity to usually send out more than one bullet. Whereas the other snipers, it's a little bit slower, you really gotta hit that first shot. And while it is a little bit closer to snipers, I think it can do a good job of sort of balancing out the range issue that I've seen in Chapter 2. Now, moving on to our number 5 spot, this is going to be impulse grenades. So really, this is just kind of something I don't know, do I miss these? Like, kind of, I guess. Impulse grenades are kind of bad because, well, they cause damage to you. So, I mean, really, the impulse is more of a thing to troll your teammates. But come on, there's no better feeling than flinging someone off a mountain with an impulse grenade.
Stop, no, no.
Bye, Ben!
Certainly, shockwaves are the better mobility item and better safety sort of item. I mean, really, they can do a lot. You can use them to push, you can use them to get out of a bad situation, and oftentimes, you know, it's enough to get away so that that person can't get to you. Whereas, like, if you launch pad away, that person can just follow you. But yeah, I don't know. I really just kind of miss impulse grenades because they were just so stupid and trolly. Anyways, moving on to number 4. This is a big one, and it's gonna be Tilted Towers. So I don't know about you guys, do you miss Tilted Towers? So personally, I just feel like there's never been such a go-to location as Tilted. Neo Tilted really didn't do it for the community, and I hated it personally. But Tilted Towers really was a great area, and I don't feel like there has been anything which really managed to replace it. I mean, there are a few locations in the Chapter 2 map which are popular, don't get me wrong, but there's no tilted. And it's really something I would love to see brought back into the game. I don't think a lot of places would really work if you brought them back into the game, but tilted is something I think the community would be really excited to see. Anyways, moving on to number 3, this is bouncers. Man, what an absolutely just amazing item bouncers were. Something that required a fair bit of skill to use, but the payoff was huge. Bouncers are something that not only allowed you to do crazy trick shots and stuff, but also you could build high with them. If your structure was gonna get shot down, you could just bounce away and be fine. There's all sorts of neat things you could do with bouncers, and I feel like they really added to the meta. And I guess Epic doesn't think that because it's something we haven't really seen a lot of over the last few seasons, but personally, I do miss bouncers. Now, moving on to number 2, this is gonna be the baller. So, I don't know if the baller will ever return. It was pretty meta changing. I don't think it would really fit in this meta, but I miss them. The baller was just a fantastic item for getting around. When they finally balanced it and had it down to 150 shield, it was perfect because you have a little bit of protection. You know, you're not going to just get some random stupid shot from far away to take your health down a little bit, and it gives you some great mobility. But you know, you're not invincible in it, and that's what I really liked about it. It was just a really effective way to get around the map quickly, and I miss ballers. Again, despite me missing them, I don't know if they would really work in current Fortnite, but it's something that I do look back on with fond memories anyways. But ladies and gentlemen, coming in at our number 1 spot, honestly, the thing that I personally miss the most of Chapter 1 is the Flint Pistol. Man, this is a weapon that I didn't appreciate enough when it was in the game. So it did around 90 damage to the body, which was 180 to the head. And you know, it had a really big shot. It was quite easy to land headshots on people. So that really just made it an extremely effective weapon for killing people. Like, it was sometimes better than using a shotgun if you were good with it. And then of course, the fact that it also served as something to save you from the ground and gravity, I suppose. The Flint Pistol to me was just everything cool about what Fortnite is, and it's something I would really like to see return. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be our list for today. Let me know what you guys thought about this video. Is there anything that you would like to see make a more permanent return back into the game? Is it something on this list, or maybe perhaps I didn't even mention it? With all that said, if you guys are new to the channel and want to see more content, make sure to subscribe. If you're already subscribed, leave a like. I will talk to you later. Go follow me on Twitter or something, I guess. Do that too. Yeah, sure. And anyways, peace out, you freaking nerds. All right, what's up, Mr. Roman?